All right, so today we are going through this new set of pedal captures from Amalgam. So this is their first capture pack with pedals rather than amps, and I'm excited to check it out and see what we've got. So let's go ahead and look at the details here. So you can see we've got 7 different pedals here. We've got a Marshall Bluesbreaker, we've got a Kingsley Page, Ibanez Tube Screamer, a Rat, a Klon Centaur, I think it's a silver one. You've got a Team Bender Fuzz, and you've got an Octo-Fuzz. And in addition to that, you've got some amp captures, including a cab for a Marshall, a Matchless, and a 2-Rock. I think their idea is you would use these pedal captures with these amp captures because these are built to be kind of pedal platform captures. But for today, what we're going to do is I'm actually going to use these pedal captures with the Mesa Boogie Lone Star model on the Quad Cortex. I use it quite a bit with pedals. I know kind of how it reacts, and I'm pretty familiar with it. Maybe in a different video, we'll compare that to these captures that come with the pack. But for now, what we're going to do is we're just going to focus on the pedal captures. And so there's a couple of things I want to point out here. One is, if you look at the settings for some of these pedals, a lot of them are really cranking the volume. And I found that when I added the captures to the presets, I had to pull back the overall output volume of the captures quite a bit to get them into a volume range that made sense. So that's one thing to keep in mind. The other is, in terms of the Bluesbreaker and the 808 and the Rat and the Centaur, these are all captures of pedals that are included as models in the Quad Cortex. So one of the things we're also going to do is maybe take a few of these captures and try to recreate them with the model in the Quad Cortex and see how different they really are. So let's go ahead and jump into the preset. So what I've got here is I have 2 presets, both set up the same, just have different captures on them. And you can see I'm running a stereo Lone Star with a clean and a tweed. These are going into actually some IRs from Amalgam, some Fender IRs. I've got a little bit of compression to give the amps a little more sag on the back end. And then we've got a tape delay and some reverb. Not a lot of ambience, just a little, just to keep it from being too dry. And the other thing I would say is I've got a few scenes set up to where I'm adjusting the EQ setting on the Lone Stars. There's normal, thick, and thicker. And really, I find that these EQ settings actually make a difference in terms of some of the brightness of the amp. So the thicker EQ actually has a little more bite to it, and the normal is a little softer, more like maybe you get from a Fender amp. So we're going to keep it in the middle for right now. If we get in any of the captures that need a little bit less or more treble, we can adjust. So let's go ahead and dive in. So we'll start with the 808. So let's start off by just being familiar with how Amalgam names their captures. If you're not familiar with that, the beginning obviously talks about what it is. In case this is a pedal, Ibanez 808, that makes sense. This is typically the gain level. So this is a boost, meaning if you go back here, the boost of the 808, the overdrive's on 0, tone is on 9, level's on 10. So they're just using it really to shape the EQ. And you can see here, I've got the volume dropped down 12 dB. It's still louder than without the capture. It's still boosting the volume. So these captures are very, very loud in terms of overall output volume. And then the balanced is the EQ setting. So typically they'll be balanced or bright, warm sometimes. On the amps, you can get other things like scooped or fat and things like that. So most of the captures for the pedals are either bright or balanced. I think there's one scooped and one warm. So let's go ahead and hear how it sounds. And for these demos, what I'm playing is my PRS SE Pulse guitar. I've got the neck pickup in single coil mode and the bridge pickup in humbucker mode. And right now we're on the neck. And here's our Lone Star sound without any pedals on. Just a nice basic clean tone, great for adding pedals to it. So let's add the boost and hear how it sounds. So you can hear, even at minus 12 dB, it's pushing the volume. So it's pushing the amps a little bit. And really, it's just giving us that 808 mid-hump. Let's go ahead and try the drive balanced. Put it on our bridge pickup. Getting some nice harmonics there. So it really kind of brings out some of the tone of the guitar. And let's try the lead balanced. So let's go ahead and compare this one to the same overdrive using the overdrive pedal built in the Quad Cortex. So we're going to compare it to the lead balanced. We go over here, the 808 lead balanced is overdrive on 10, tone on 9, level on 8. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this on, overdrive 10, tone on 9, level. We're going to set this to 6 because I've got the capture kind of pulled back in volume. So they sound really similar to me. Obviously, there's a slight difference to them. I think the capture actually does a little bit better job of pulling out some of the harmonics, but the model of the overdrive on the Quad Cortex has a little more presence to me. It's a little more immediate. But overall, I think it's a pretty close comparison. So let's move on. Next, we've got the Kingsley Page. These pedals are great. They're real boutique. They ain't cheap. And I think typically you have to wait on a waiting list to get them. But they're great pedals. And I'm interested to see how this sounds. So right now, this is the Boost Bright. Go ahead and turn that on. And hear what we got. I'm on the neck pickup. Let's go ahead and try that with the normal EQ, a little warmer. So it's nice. Let's try, this is the drive balanced. And let's try the drive bright. I think I like the balance best. Try this on the bridge pickup. Let's move on to the Centaur. So this is the Klon Boost balanced. Let's hear what it sounds like. Kind of nice. This is a drive balanced. Nice touch sensitivity. Not as much drive as I would expect. I think when we compare it to the Klon that's built into the Quad Cortex, we'll see that that one has a lot more gain. This is the drive warm. So yeah, let's go ahead and see if we can recreate this drive warm on the overdrive pedal on the Quad Cortex. So we'll go here, we're going to do the myth drive. Let's see. Klon drive warm was 8, 10, and 6. So gain on 6, tone on 10. So I'm going to assume that O was level. That was 8. We'll back that off a little bit because we know the pedal's loud. This was 10 and the gain was 6. So you can hear that has a lot more gain to it than on the capture. We hear the let's pull this back just a little bit. So yeah, the Klon capture is a lot different than the myth drive that's built into the Quad Cortex. A lot less gain. It feels a lot smoother. It doesn't have as sharp of an edge, I guess, is a way to put it. So let's go ahead and move on. So we are on the Bluesbreaker. So this is the drive balance on the Bluesbreaker. And let's see how it sounds. Nice overall tone there. Let's go to the drive, balance, right. And we've got a lead balanced. So let's compare that to the overdrive pedal. So we want to go to Brit Blues. We're going to do the lead balanced. So that is 10 all the way across. And we'll pull back the volume a little bit because we know. So a lot more bite to this. I would pull this back a little bit. So again, I think like the other pedal, the overdrive model built in the Quad Cortex has a little more bite to it. And there's a little more kind of warmth and roundness. I'm not sure how to describe it to the captures that kind of a little bit smoother. So let's go ahead and move on to the Rat. I'll say I've been playing around with these a little bit. This surprised me, and I really like these Rat models. So let's go ahead and turn that on. I do like these with the normal. Really nice, big, thick overdrive. Sounds really good. And there's a bright version. And then you've got a couple that are set to lead. Here's a lead balanced. And then you've got a lead scooped. So all these are really sounding good, but let's compare them to the model on the Quad Cortex. So let's take the drive balance and we'll compare that to the model on the Quad Cortex. So let's go ahead and add that in. So we want the rodent drive. And if we're going to do the drive balanced, let's go see what that is. So the drive balance is 4, 4, and 10. So we'll set distortion to 4, filter to 4, and we'll go volume to 8 because we know the captures are really loud. Compared to the capture. Feels like the model has a little more, again, there's a little more top end to it. And in this case, with all this drive, I don't know, it goes back and forth. For the lower end stuff, it's nice because you get some of a little more clarity to it. But I think it loses a little warmth and starts to get a little fizzy. But overall, they're pretty close. The one thing I'll say on the rat capture, it would have been nice to have a capture that kind of is set on a lower distortion, kind of like Nuno Betancourt uses the rat in front of his amp, just to kind of tighten up the bottom end. It would have been nice to have a capture that would do that. All right, let's move on here. So this is the octave lead. Let's hear what that sounds like. That's a cool sound. And maybe you could try to mimic that on the Quad Cortex by using the octaver with a fuzz, but I think overall this is a great kind of sound there. And then last but not least, you have a couple versions of this T-Bender fuzz. There's that one, and then there's a second one here. I have enough CPU to add to it. I like it. I think I do like this fuzz better than most of the fuzzes on the Quad Cortex. And I'm liking this version of it better than the MK2. So those are the pedal captures that are in the new Amalgam pack. Again, I think they sound really good, and they're high quality captures. For most of them, I question if they're that much better than the same version of the model with the Quad Cortex. I do love the rat captures. They sound really great, but you can get pretty close with the rat. So I'll leave it to you as to your opinion as to whether you feel like the captures are that much better than the models within the Quad Cortex, and whether you feel, that it's worth the investment. The whole pack is, I think, $15, so it's not a huge investment, but it is somewhat of an investment. I'll do a follow-up video where we kind of go into the pedal platform amps that they've included with the capture pack. Maybe that'll make a difference, and maybe those will really bring these pedals to life. I'll be interested to hear that. But in the meantime, I hope you found this helpful, and thanks for watching.